Hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast Check the Scoreboard episode 2. And I'm excited as you are. If you haven't checked out the first podcast, listen to this one first, all right? I want you to stay here. I want your full attention, and then go listen to the first one. If you have not listened to it, highly recommend it, 10 out of 10. I go over the World Series, give my predictions, and I also go over the NBA predictions for this season. So we have a full plate on our hands. I'm going to be giving the mid-season grades for each NFL team. I have it on TierMaker. Shout out to TierMaker.com, by the way. Not sponsored by them whatsoever, but if you would like to sponsor me, that would be greatly appreciated. And then I'm also going to talk about the World Series as Game 2 just wrapped up, and also NBA season is underway. I'm excited. Hopefully your team is doing good. My team is. But anyhow, let's cue the music. All right, welcome, and let's kick things off with the World Series and Nationals. All right, surprising me. I think they're surprising everyone. They go up 2-0 on the Astros, all right? They beat Garrett Cole. They beat Justin Verlander. I mean, Justin Verlander was smoked out on the mound last night. The Nationals just went off with a parade of runs last night. So Nationals are up 2-0. And they're going back to D.C., and they have 3 games at home, because that's how the World Series works. You play 2 games with the best record, then you play 3 games at the other team's home stadium, and then back to where games 1 and 2 were originally played. That's how the World Series works. But yeah, Nationals just surprising me. They're making me eat my words. I thought the Astros were going to give them a gentleman's sweep with a win over the Nationals, but that is not the case right now, as the Nationals are up 2-0. And also, as I said, NBA season is underway. It just tipped off last night. I was watching my Denver Nuggets play as they beat the Portland Trail Blazers last night, but hopefully your team is doing good. If your team lost last night or the night before, hey, you have 81 more games to prove it. We got a long season ahead of us. Should be an exciting season. No serious injuries going down or anything like that, so that's good. Kyrie Irving, by the way, went off the second most points in a player's debut for a team. He had 50 points in the loss versus the Timberwolves. Too bad they lost. Kyrie almost made a buzzer beater for them. That game went into overtime. That was a crazy game for the Brooklyn Nets. But now that I'm done talking about the NBA, I'm going to go into the NFL, where I'm going to grade each team because it is the midway point for the season. It is Week 8. Vikings and Redskins play tonight. I'm going to give my game picks after I give my tier maker. So, as I said, I made a tier maker list here. So here's the grades we have. We have S, which stands for Superstar Talented Teams. We got A, which is Awesome Teams. We got B, which is Basic Teams. All right, then we got the C tier, which is just crap, and then the D tier, which stands for Dumpster Fire. All right, let's go from Dumpster Fire to Superstar. We'll go from that order. All right, and then, so, on the Dumpster Fire tier, I have the Miami Dolphins. Good gosh, is this team a Dumpster Fire? Hot garbage, all right? This team is 0-6. I think they got outscored like 110-3 or something like that the first 3 weeks of this season. I don't know what it was, but it was some ridiculous stat. I don't know. This team has a very good shot of going 0-16 this year. Next team, I got the Washington Redskins. Now, the Redskins and the Dolphins did play 2 weeks ago in the Tank Bowl. The Redskins did come out on top, barely though. And yeah, the Redskins are just not a good team. They don't have an identity. Dan Snyder's maybe one of the worst owner in history of owners. So yeah. Next team, I have the New York Jets, and they did not play good at all against New England Patriots. But credit where credit is due. The Patriots are definitely one of the best teams I've seen in the past few years. They've been playing great defense. Tom Brady hasn't had to do much at all. He's just been there, just keeping that team afloat. But yeah, the Patriots are really good, and they beat them 33-0. But anyhow, the Jets have just not been good. Sam Darnold was out with mono, and also they're just had no identity at that quarterback position. I know Luke Falk was their backup quarterback for a while, so you're not going to win any games with him. Next team I have, and this is the last team I have in the dumpster fire category, the Cincinnati Bengals. They're also the other winless team. There's 2 winless teams, and that's the Dolphins and the Bengals. With Andy Dalton at quarterback, I think they're ready to move on. I think his time in Cincinnati is done. A.J. Green, he's kind of wasted his career there, which you hate to see because A.J. Green is a really talented receiver. All right, next we'll move up to the crap tier, all right? And I got 12 teams lined up in the crap team, all right? There's a lot of crappy teams out there. And don't get mad at me for this, Cleveland Browns fans, but I do have you in the crappy tier, and here's why. All right, I think everyone just set the expectations so high for them this year that I don't think they were able to match up to it. And the Cleveland Browns are sitting at a 2-4 record right now, which is definitely not what we expected them at all. Granted, they did have a very tough schedule going in, but still, coming out with a 2-4 record is not good. And I do believe they played the Patriots at some point in time. I'm not sure when that is. Next, I got the Jacksonville Jaguars. Gardner Minshew has actually been a pretty decent quarterback for them. He is a rookie this year coming out of Washington State. I guess took the NFL by storm just with his appearance. I do like Gardner. He is quite the character, but Jaguars are still not that good of a team. Jalen Ramsey basically exploded just so he could get out of there. He's just like, yeah, I'm not playing for you guys. Like, he faked an injury. He got a hangnail while painting his daughter's bedroom or something like that. I don't know what the injury was. Something like that. Something along the lines. But anyhow, next team, we got the Los Angeles Chargers, or as most people like to call them, the San Diego Chargers. But, yeah, Chargers, I thought they were going to be a wild card team this year. I expected them to be where the Bills are this season, but that is not the case at all. They're at a 2-4 record right now, and I don't know. Is it time to move on from Phillip Rivers? I think so. But they also have been dealing with quite a bit of injuries, too, which, given the benefit of the doubt here, but they still have a 2-4 record. The record speaks for itself. And maybe one of the most inconsistent teams I have on here is the Tennessee Titans, all right? Now, the Tennessee Titans, they played phenomenal week 1 against the Browns, and then they just decided not to show up, for the rest of the year. They're sitting at a 3-4 record right now, so, I don't know, it's weird. They just kind of make up their mind when they're going to show up and when not they're going to show up. It's really weird. I don't know what's going on with the Titans, but definitely time to move on from Marcus Mariota. The next team I have in the crap tier is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, Jameis Winston, I think when he retires, he's going to open up a bakery for his turnover bakery because that's all he was throwing against the Carolina Panthers in London. All right, next team, I got another NFC South team, and that is the Atlanta Falcons. Now, Atlanta, I expected them, once Drew Brees went down, I was like, oh, this is Atlanta's time to shoot up, all right? So I was like, all right, this is their time to actually make a move, go for the NFC South, and take over the number 1 spot. But that was not the case at all whatsoever. This team has been highly disappointing, and now this team is sitting at a 1-6 record. Yikes. All right, and Matt Ryan isn't injured or anything. Julio Jones isn't injured or anything, but this team is just flat out bad, and I think Dan Quinn is going to be fired next year. That's the bottom line. Next team I got is the Oakland Raiders, and good gosh, is this team confused. They're about as confused as a chicken on a Thanksgiving table right now. I don't know what they're doing with their organization, but they are sitting at a 500 record, surprisingly. They got the living daylights beat out of them against Aaron Rodgers and the Packers last week, as Aaron Rodgers threw for a perfect passer rating. But, yeah, this team doesn't seem to have any sense of direction. I think they're going to be bad, but right now they're a 500 team, so I don't understand what the Raiders are doing. What's their sense of direction right now? But the crazy part is, all right, listen, okay? Ready? They are just 1 game out of the wild card spot. That is crazy to me. The Oakland Raiders are 1 game out of the wild card spot. So, I don't know. They must be doing something right, but I still have them in the crap tier just because I don't know what the Raiders are doing. Next team I have is the Philadelphia Eagles, and they have highly disappointed. Carson Wentz, I thought was a solid quarterback, but they just don't have any, superstar, talent. Yes, they're a talented team. They're kind of like the Denver Nuggets of the NBA. They don't have, a big superstar, but they're just a great team. But obviously that hasn't showed this season, so I don't know what's going on with their organization, but that's why I have them in the crap tier. Next team I have from Pennsylvania is the Pittsburgh Steelers, and this season could not have gone any worse for them. Poor Juju Smith-Schuster basically doing everything for this team except playing quarterback and play defense. They're down to their third-string quarterback. Ben Roethlisberger's out, which that was a mess when Mason Rudolph got injured. They had to cut off his face mask, and he was basically knocked out. Like, that was not a good situation. Next team I have, hate to put this here, but the Denver Broncos, all right? Joe Flacco has been a horrible quarterback for us. Like, I don't know what Joe Flacco's problem is, but honestly, I think it's everyone in the Broncos. Like, we just traded Emmanuel Sanders. We let him go. I don't think we're going to let Chris Harris Jr. go, which is what I've been hearing. But I wouldn't be surprised if we do. We just need to start over from scratch. We are 5 years removed from the Super Bowl. And Emmanuel Sanders was our last piece from that Super Bowl offense, which we weren't really known for. We were known for our defense. But anyhow, it's time to rebuild in Denver, and that's just the bottom line. Next team I have is the New York Giants. Daniel Jones has been playing all right. He was playing really good at first, and now he's kind of come back to earth. And, yeah, Saquon Barkley, I believe he's still injured. This team's just not very talented. They don't have any pieces to build around to contend as of now. Next team I have is the Arizona Cardinals. Now, they did beat the Giants last week. I believe their record is 2-3-1, which is not bad, and they're not playing bad, which is kind of what I expected them to be. I don't expect them to be playing for a wild card spot. I just expect them to be hanging in there, just playing close games, and that's what the Cardinals are doing. Giving them credit where credit is due, though. Next team I have is the B tier, all right? Now, I have the Detroit Lions here. Now, the Lions are a surprising team early this season. They started out kind of undefeated, I guess. They tied the Cardinals. The Lions have been playing pretty solid for the most part, and they're contending for a wild card spot. I know Dallas is going to go up in flames on me, Dallas Cowboys fans. All right, hold your pitchforks, hold your torches, but I have you at the B tier, okay? And here's why. You guys dropped 3 games in a row, and then you beat the Eagles, and now you're like, oh, we're going to the Super Bowl again. Let's come down to earth here, all right? You only show up against, like, mediocre teams. The Eagles are a mediocre team right now. You haven't proven anything to me. So that's why I have you at B tier. Next team I have is the Los Angeles Rams. Now, the Rams are playing solid, I guess. They're not playing bad, but they're not playing great, considering they were in the Super Bowl last year. Todd Gurley, I don't know what they're doing with him. Obviously, he's still lingering with injury problems, and this offense just wasn't what it was from last year. That's why I have them at the B tier. Next team I have is the Minnesota Vikings. Now, the Vikings are kind of bipolar. That's kind of why they're in the B tier. Kirk Cousins, I guess, when he plays mediocre teams, he's Peyton Manning, but when he goes up against someone fairly good, he's not there at all and just absolute garbage. But yeah, I mean, the Vikings are still a very talented team, but I think it's time to move on from Kirk Cousins, maybe move up in the draft and get a quarterback. Next team I have is the Chicago Bears. Now, kind of in between the B and the C tier for me. I think it's time to move on from Mitchell Trubisky. Trubisky's just not the quarterback they are looking for. He can't move the ball downfield, and just his ceiling is very low. As of potential-wise, their team is still pretty talented, though. Like, their defense can only do so much, so you need to build support around their offense. But nonetheless, I think they're still competing for a wild card spot. They are sitting at a 3-3 record right now, so they're not out of contention right now. All right, that's it for the B tier. Now we're moving on to the A, awesome applesauce tier. That's what I'm calling it. Yes, awesome applesauce. Now I have the Baltimore Ravens here. Lamar Jackson has just been playing out of his mind this year, making a contention for MVP. Is he going to get it? Probably not, but he has been playing pretty good. He went to Seattle and beat the Seahawks, which is pretty impressive. So that's why I have you at the A tier, Baltimore. Now, next team I have is the Indianapolis Colts. They did lose Andrew Luck this season due to retirement. Everyone knows the drill. But Jacoby Brissett came in and is just playing phenomenal football from them, just keeping them afloat. They are sitting at a 4-2 record, which is the best in the AFC South right now. So what more can you ask for Jacoby Brissett? Next team I have is the Houston Texans. Now, they're right there in the mix with Indy. They just lost them by a touchdown, 30-23 last week, but Houston's still in the running for that AFC South. Next team I have is the Green Bay Packers. Now, Green Bay's actually playing pretty decent football this year. Matt LaFleur is a new head coach this year, and he's been doing a phenomenal job, but mostly Aaron Rodgers has been carrying that team, and their defense has been playing pretty solid too, so that's why I have the Packers in the A tier. Next team I have is the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, devastating injury to Patrick Mahomes against the Denver Broncos. I don't know what Andy Reid's play calling there, but they are going to be in trouble for the next 3 or 4 weeks, and that's something you don't want to see if you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan. Nonetheless, this is a mid-season tier and how they did the first half of the season, and I have them in the A tier right now. Next team I have is the Carolina Panthers. Now, Cam Newton went down. We thought, the Panthers are going to be done. Like, Cam is still dealing with that shoulder injury, but Kyle Allen went in, played phenomenal football. And also, the Panthers' defense right now is one of the best defenses in the league. They're better than the Bears' defense. And Christian McCaffrey playing out of his mind right now, having himself an MVP season. Now, next team I have is maybe one of the quietest NFL teams that no one's really talking about. And that's the Buffalo Bills. They are sitting at a 5-1 record right now, which is just insane to me. Like, I did not expect the Bills to be sitting at 5-1 right now. Josh Allen has been playing pretty decent football, but mostly just their roster's pretty good for the most part. They're a solid team, don't get me wrong, and they're definitely going to be, I have them locked in at the wild card spot, so yeah, we'll be seeing the Bills in the playoffs. Next team I have, which is the last team, is the Seattle Seahawks. Now, Russell Wilson also making a case for MVP this season, but just been playing out of his mind. They did lose to Baltimore at home. Baltimore is a solid team, and I think Seattle's going to bounce back, and they're going to get the wild card spot in the NFC. Now let's move on to the superstar super team. We have 3 teams, all right? And if you're keeping track at home, you might know who these teams are. If not, I'm going to tell you. And number 1 team I have is the San Francisco 49ers. They are sitting at an undefeated record right now. And Jimmy G has been playing pretty good football, and that defense is solid too. And yeah, this is a really solid football team. Now, granted, they did only win by 9 points, but hey, I'm giving credit where credit is due. They are still undefeated, and I did not see the 49ers with this kind of record. Now, I did think the 49ers were going to be good coming into the season, but I didn't expect them to be this good. Next team I have is the New Orleans Saints, all right? Now, I thought the Saints were going to be done after Drew Brees went down, and Teddy Bridgewater is actually playing really good right now. He's a very solid quarterback, kind of similar to Drew Brees in a way. He's a pocket passer and just kind of a good leader for that team, I feel like. And also that roster is really good too. Alvin Kamara is dealing with injuries though, but they do have Michael Thomas, and that defense is really solid. And no surprise here, I have the New England Patriots. I mean, this team is just really good right now. I'd honestly be surprised if they didn't win the Super Bowl, which pains me to say because the Patriots are my arch enemy because they have been whooping on the Broncos for solid 10 years now, and 20 years now, actually. So, yeah, I had the Patriots here. Their defense is really good. Offense is clicking. They just can't do anything wrong here, and that's why I had the Patriots at the S tier. So, if you've been keeping track at home, win over all 32 NFL teams. Those are my grades for this season. Let me know who you have. You can make a tier maker list, share it with me, whatever you want to do. But yeah, let's go into game picks, and that will wrap up the show. All right, tonight we got the Redskins at the Minnesota Vikings. Kirk Cousins playing his former team. Yeah, this one, no surprise here. Kirk Cousins is going to have a field day against the Washington Redskins. I like the Vikings big in this one. Seahawks at Atlanta. I like the Seahawks here. Russell Wilson going to have a bounce-back game. I expect a huge game from him, so I like the Seahawks. Chargers at the Bears. Ooh, this is a tough one. I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Chargers here at Chicago. I think they're going to have a bounce-back game. They lost against the Titans, but I like them to bounce back here. I think it's going to be a close game, but I like the Chargers. Next game, Giants and Lions, and I like the Lions here. Lions are playing pretty solid football as of now. Matthew Stafford doing his thing. They did lose to the Vikings last week, but I think the Giants are just not better than the Lions. Next game we have is the game probably not a lot of people are going to be watching unless you're a fan of, the Jets and Jaguars. This is at Jacksonville. Jaguars did beat the Bengals last week, and I think they're going to beat the Jets. They've had a pretty cakewalk schedule as of now, and they could go 500 this week. Next game I have is the Bengals at the Rams, and this one's not even going to be close. The Bengals are going to be going 0-7 as the Rams are going to beat them. Next game, we have Jameis Winston taking on Marcus Mariota, maybe the most disappointing first and second picks consecutively in the draft this year. We thought they were going to be taking over the league, but obviously not the case. I'm going to go with the Tennessee Titans here. I think their team's a little bit more talented than the Buccaneers. I'm just throwing it out there. Titans win. Next game, Eagles and Bills at Buffalo. I'm going with the Buffalo Bills. I'm riding that Bills bandwagon all the way to the playoffs and to the wild card spot where they'll be losing. So I'm going with the Buffalo Bills over the Eagles. Next game we have, we got the Broncos at Indianapolis. Now, I don't know here. I want to pick the Broncos here because, they're my team. But, hey, I got to keep it realistic here on the podcast, and I'm going with the Indianapolis Colts. They're just a solid organization. And also, I'm just not having a lot of faith in the Broncos right now. So, if you or a loved one is struggling to be a Denver Broncos fan, just call 888-8888. Thank you. All right, next game that we have is the Cardinals and the Saints. I'm going with the Saints here. Teddy Bridgewater has not lost a game since Drew Brees has been injured, and it's going to stay that way against Arizona. Next game we have is the Panthers at the 49ers. Ooh, that should be a tough game. I'm going to be watching that. And I think I'm going to go with, I'm calling it upset. Carolina over the 49ers. 49ers lose their first game against Carolina. Christian McCaffrey has a field day. That defense is going to lock down Jimmy G. Next game we have is the Raiders and the Texans. I'm going with the Texans. This is no question here, not an upset. I don't see it happening. Deshaun Watson just going to do his thing out there. Oh, this is the week that the Browns and the Patriots play, and yeah, the Patriots are going to win big. They're going to make the Browns look pathetic, I think. That's just the bottom line, because they've been doing that to everyone. And next game we have is the Packers and Chiefs. That's a Sunday night game. Oh, too bad Patrick Mahomes isn't playing. So I'm going to have to give it to the Packers. If Patrick Mahomes was playing, I'd go with the Chiefs. But that is not the case here. I'm going with Green Bay at Kansas City. Yikes, this is not a good Monday Night Football game. Last week was the Patriots and Jets, and now we have the Dolphins and Steelers. All right, I will be watching basketball that night, so I'm going with the Pittsburgh Steelers because the Dolphins are not that good. So that's my game picks. Let me know if you agree or disagree down in the comments below. Hopefully you did enjoy. Remember, we're coming out with podcasts every Tuesday and Thursday, so I'm on that Tuesday and Thursday grind right now. Don't forget to like if you like these podcasts. And also, don't forget to subscribe as well. And have a good one. And we'll catch you on Tuesday.